Well, my next question is to you, Dr. Ali. So, I'm sure you're already maximizing the price of the oil and exporting every drop, and I noted you call it pearl because probably it means as expensive in terms of Iraq's economy. So, in my mind, you are limited by OPEC quota. So how do you plan to increase the revenue while limited by the quota?
Well, very important question, actually. The quota is something that we agreed to commit ourselves to. As Iraq, as the second largest producer in OPEC, and holding the responsibility towards the market as well, we don't really believe in only increasing prices with no limits. We in OPEC, sometimes, we've been criticized to be a cartel. However, it is not really a cartel. It is that gathering that holds the responsibility to get the market back into its, let's say, balanced way between, whatever changes happen in demand or in supply, then we will have to tackle this issue. And that's why it's been engaged by some other non-OPEC countries, like, Mexico, Russia, other, non-OPEC countries, even Arab countries like Oman and some other countries as well, Bahrain. So you can see, it's a matter of responsibility. And we had to take that responsibility. Otherwise, we might end up with flooding the market and losing the ground, basically. Even consumers themselves, they are not, all of them like end consumers. At the end of the day, we have a chain of marketing activities, like traders, intermediaries, financial institutions, all of them, brokers, all of them are really doing business through this chain of marketing. So the best way to deal with this issue is to have that agreement that may help, basically, in balancing the market. And what we look at within OPEC are the fundamentals and what are the major factors that are affecting really the demand here or there or in the whole world. Looking at the financial and economic factors that are pressuring some of the demanding areas, the areas of demand, let's call it, or even affecting some of the supplies from certain continents. So we will have to fill in the gap or to cut some of the produced oil in order to gain back that balance. So to reach to the fair market value. So that is exactly what we're looking for. Whenever it is fair, then the business will continue. Whenever it is higher than this limit, then we will be losing our ground. So this is basically the logic behind it. So we're happy with that. There's no problem with it. Yes, we have loads of commitments here within the country that is relying, unfortunately, 90 to 95% on oil revenues. However, the new process that has been set up by this government, the current government, by increasing the non-oil revenues, by using the oil revenues into developing other sources of revenues. This is the best way, and this is the new standard that we call for the new government when it is formed to continue, basically, and to build on it. This is very important for any economy, and the Iraqi economy, as it is a matter of question now. So, talking about this, we're diversifying the way of how the revenues, getting into the budget and supporting the budget requirements and budget commitments. So, talking about that, we believe that Iraq should hold that responsibility. However, in some cases, we have to really increase our exports in order to tackle the issue of curtailment that we have to pay for the IOCs working in our oil fields. So, of course, IOCs have their own targets, and those targets has timing. And whenever the production increased, then you have to take it, and it has an outlet, let's say. The current government also helped in increasing the refining capacity, and it's just been said this morning through statements how it has been increased really dramatically to the point, to the level that we reached to really self-sufficiency in gasoline. And we approached the reach of self-sufficiency in gasoline, the main two products that we're importing for electricity generation and also for transportation. So taking all that into consideration, there is no other way basically to crack that agreement in order to achieve better. No, we will lose the ground basically. So we believe in that. Other than this, increasing or expanding the ground for investment within the country is very important, and that's what we're calling for. So it's not necessarily always to sell the barrel of oil in order to feed the budget, and that's it. We will have to, improve that and to develop that in a way of creating, scale of economies. We cannot just depend on oil sales directly. We can create that scale of economies of scale from the oil products and all the transformation industry that we can do, not necessarily within Iraq, but also out of Iraq. And that's what SOMO started to implement by having these conversations and negotiations with some refineries, that has success stories really in the region, mainly in Asia, where new refineries still being built, and the refining margin is still in a good shape, not as good as before, but still in a good shape, in order to secure also the market for the Iraqi crude oil. The question now is not only on how much you're exporting, it's on how to keep the market share for your own oil while others are competing you. We're having oil, I'm not talking now about renewable energy, I'm not talking about other types of energy that is called cleaner, and it may fill in the gap. I'm talking about other oil producers, like, for example, the shale oil in the US. When it started, it became, a matter of competition, that is created within that region. So we were exporting more to US. Now we're exporting the least, basically, to US, because the United States market started to be self-sufficient, to have self-sufficiency. Europe, that continent is really declining in its requirement for oil. And talking about Iraqi oil, we're basically mentioning the oil that has higher sulfur content and lower in its API. So it's another challenge on how to market such type of oil and keep the market share in a way that is really covers at least your production capacity or your export capacity. So taking all that into consideration and looking at what are the investment opportunities within Iraq that we may also call for, and we're here within the IBBC, conference, I would say this is the best opportunity for the investors, for majors, to come and really dig deep into the opportunities available here within Iraq and the oil sector, mainly the oil sector. Looking at the pipeline system, pipeline network system, it's still poor. It's not really mature to the level where the production is getting higher and higher. So for local consumption and also for exports. Look at the sea lines, look at the export facilities, look at the opportunities available in order to export oil through other outlets, like, for example, exporting Basra via Turkey. So why keep that pressure on our southern oil terminals while we have European customers that they will be more than happy actually to take it from St. Anna terminal, or even the Americas, the North and South America's customers. They will be more than happy really to take it through the Mediterranean So this will be much more better. The pipeline through Syria and the extension to Lebanon. So that is another project that we're working on now. And I believe that it is a very big room for investors to come in, because Iraqi budget will not be able really to cover everything. So the way of investment should change from service contracts into really investors to come and invest in projects and getting their equity really, like the pipeline to be an equity for certain major, and then they will be more than willing to build it, maintain it, and even develop it to the level that is required for these exports to come out of Iraq. Now we're even below the quota. You asked about OPEC quota, basically. Now we're exporting below the quota by 100,000 barrels a day. That is 3 million a month. Why? Because of the lack of infrastructure. Not because there is no market for that crude. The market is really still thirsty for the Iraqi crude oil, taking into consideration that SOMO has built really better business relationship with a number of majors in different areas in the globe. Other than this, let's focus on the oil products as well. So the quota is on crude oil. But now we're a net exporter of oil products. It's just mentioned by Basra Gas Company and what they are doing. Basically, even the exports of Basra Gas Company is done with the cooperation with SOMO. Basically, SOMO is signing the contracts. So LPG, condensates, fuel oil, the two types of fuel oil, the straight-run fuel oil and also the heavy fuel oil coming out of Karbala refinery, naphtha, jet fuel, sulfur. That is the new really boom in exports that will start hopefully soon, because we opened it for international companies, not only for Iraqi registered companies. So the vast of projects, vast of opportunities to come and invest and come and really buy and have that kind of positive participation in this business cycle is very important. The last but not least thing that I will have to mention is related to the energy transition, or what's so-called energy transition. I personally, I don't believe in that word, because it is started saying energy transition, entertaining that kind of mindset, if I may call it, and it creates huge gap, and it proved its failure a number of times. Because we will have to get to the maturity type of thinking about the energy mix rather than thinking about energy transition. The energy mix would accept new sources of energy to come in, but would keep, the three main pillars, still there and workable, which is you need the energy to be, sustainable, affordable, and available. So losing that ground, that's what created the gap when we, being hit by COVID-19, for example, and people went back into even wood, burning wood to get warm. And also with the crisis of Russia and Ukraine, and how the most developed economies in Europe started to go back to coal. So the gap is there. So let's really entertain the new way of thinking, of maintaining the energy mix, accepting the new type of energy, accepting the development and research to get the oil and gas cleaner, to get oil and gas more friendly into the environment, rather than shifting one source of energy to the favor of other source that's still getting, financial aids. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. It's very comprehensive, very detailed, and shows the amount of efforts and work it goes into it. While the perception of the people is, okay, Iraq produces oil and sells oil, but it's not as simple as that. And I'm sure our audiences have got a bit of insight into the applications. And you make a very valid point about energy transition. Actually, it is energy mix. We are not going to have transition in our lifetime and probably even in our grandchildren's lifetime. So it is going to be energy mix and moving towards renewable, probably larger share. When I was coming here to Basra, my wife actually told me to get a Basravi pearl. And I was trying to find out a Basravi pearl which used to be there before when the rivers became, before the rivers became salty rivers. And I'm now thinking to take a can of oil and gift it to her. The new pearl. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Bring us to the panel now.